To start working on your chameleon's head, take your piece of paper and fold it in half. This makes a rectangle, not a square. On the top half of your rectangle, I want you to fold it diagonally across the paper. Notice how the top is pointed? You'll have a little bit of space from the fold line when you folded it diagonally. There's a little bit of space right there. That should be there. When you open it up, you'll see your fold line, crisscross, go the opposite direction so that you have an X. The top of your paper, again, notice I'm using the top or the corner as the tip of that triangle. I'm creasing that down so that I've got a nice X. I'm going to outline it in my pen so that you can all see this really clearly. This X is what's going to help me make the chameleon's head. Now, I'm going to flip it over to the other side of the paper and do the same thing. Can you see the X? Flip it over and do it all again. I wanted to take a moment and show you a non-example. Do not crisscross all the way down to the fold line. Make sure that when you're folding, it has a triangular shape at the top, making the fold line at the top of your paper. As you can see, here's my second X. I'm going to start in the center of the X and go to the edge of the paper. This is going to be the line that I cut. I'm going to outline mine in Sharpie. Those are the lines that you will be cutting today. You do not have to outline yours. I am just outlining mine so that you can all see where I'm going to be cutting. There should be some space between those lines. Take your scissors and cut on that line to the center of the paper. Do the same thing to the other side. Cut all the way to the center. As you have your paper that looks like this, you're going to take a glue bottle now and start arranging this into a three-dimensional form. Take your glue, place it on the flat part of your paper, and take the part that you cut and twist that on top of the glue. Again, let's see that one more time. I'm going to take my paper, the area that I just cut, I'm going to fold that over on top of the glue so that I have a three-dimensional form for my chameleon head. Once that sticks, crease that down a little bit so that you have a shape that looks like a head. It's a three-dimensional form. Okay, once again, do the same thing to the other side. That's going to be the top of the head or the top of the mouth or whatever you want to call that. And then you're going to again do the same thing to the bottom. Take the opposite side now, the part where you cut, fold it over, and stick that down into the glue. Recrease your fold lines so that it no longer looks like an X, but it looks more like a pyramid, a three-dimensional form. Now we're going to be using this shape as the head. Doesn't that look cool? It really looks like a chameleon head, at least the start of one. Okay, now let's go on to the rest of the chameleon's head. I'm going to take a piece of white paper and I'm going to start drawing some circles that I can be using for chameleon's eyes. Small circle for the pupil, a second circle for the iris. I'm going to shade that in just like our eyes have pupils and an iris. You're going to be doing the same thing when you make a chameleon eye. I'm using black crayon. You can use whatever material you want. Oil pastels might smear, so markers might be another good choice. I'm going to take my scissors now, cut that out, and glue that on to my chameleon head. Okay, now that you've got your chameleon's eyes glued on to your chameleon head, let's start thinking of some other things to make this look more like a head rather than a pyramid. I'm going to use the leftover scraps that I have for my eyes and start making teeth. You could put on some teeth for your chameleon head. Don't feel like you have to. These are just some ideas to help make your chameleon head look more interesting. I like the way that looks. I'm applying a little bit of glue to the top of that head and just laying in the triangles for my teeth of my chameleon. Pretty cool. If you want to add a pink tongue, I'm just going to take a little scrap piece of paper. You can leave it like this, or you might want to twirl it around with your fingers, and you can glue that into your chameleon's head too. Again, these are just ideas. Don't feel like you have to. These are just some fun ideas that you could add to make your project look a little bit more interesting. Take a minute and go see Mrs. Foxen to get your head glued onto your body at this time. You'll find some patterns that you can use. Oops, I grabbed two. You only need one. Once you grab your chameleon's feet, go ahead and take the scrap papers that we saved from step 1. When you have your scraps, you can use any color you want. You do not have to use the same color that you used for the body. This is a fun art project. Choose whatever color that you want. Once you have your pattern, it's important to make sure that you can trace around 2 of these. So once I've traced it once, as I cut it out, I'll end up with 2. I'm going to take my pattern again, placing it somewhere on the edge of the paper, not the center. You want to be able to put 2 on there. By the time I cut this out, I'll end up having 4. That's what you want to have for this project. So now that I've got 2 of them traced onto my paper, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut those out. I went ahead and I did that, and let's go ahead and take a look at the finished example. I glued those on to the bottom of my chameleon's body, and now I've got those attached as well as the head. I hope you have fun making your chameleon 3-dimensional today, and it's a project that you really had fun making. I know I sure did.